Shedeur, congratulations on the amazing season. Heisman Trophy winning season vibe you on. And most definitely, I can't wait to rock these. Bam!
Decision time hits different in the NFL. Most players are counting hours, checking their phones, waiting for that direct deposit to hit. That's the standard routine. Shedeur Sanders is operating on a completely different level. At exactly 10 a.m. this morning, Sanders quietly dropped his latest SS2 logo collection, and by 10:08 a.m. it was gone. Not low stock, not almost sold out. Completely erased. This wasn't a few t-shirts moving off a shelf either. We're talking millions of dollars in inventory wiped out in minutes. Industry insiders say Nike executives were caught flat-footed watching the live dashboard spike like nothing they've seen before. They track everything. Click-throughs, conversion rates, buyer velocity, and Shedeur's numbers blew straight through the ceiling. One source said his conversion rate was higher than any athlete currently signed. And yes, that includes NBA superstars. That tells you everything you need to know. Fans aren't betting on the Browns logo. They're betting on Shedeur Sanders. This wasn't about a team, a record, or a depth chart. This was about belief, culture, and momentum. While franchises sell history, Sanders is selling now, and the demand is unreal. Behind the scenes, things got frantic fast. Nike's internal teams reportedly scrambled as warehouse inventory that was projected to last week's disappeared in hours.
Yeah, we playing that shallow. Yeah. Which one my daddy cleat should I wear? 93s, 96s. I don't know, decision.
Alerts started firing non-stop across corporate systems. Entire regional stockpiles were wiped before West Coast stores even opened their doors. That's not normal. That's not expected. That's a shockwave. And here's where it gets crazier. At the 72-hour mark, Shedeur Sanders wasn't just outperforming rookie benchmarks. He obliterated sales numbers that usually take elite NFL veterans an entire season to reach. This wasn't a merch drop. This was a statement, a loud one. You could feel the energy shift in real time. Nike thought they had modeled this launch perfectly. Forecasts showed strong rookie interest, solid engagement, maybe a bump comparable to other high-profile first-round talent. That plan collapsed instantly. Servers didn't just slow down, they went offline. A total system failure under the weight of demand. Now let's talk about what this really means. This is power without permission. Sanders didn't wait for a Pro Bowl, didn't wait for playoff wins, didn't wait for legacy points. The market spoke immediately. Fans weren't hesitating. They weren't window shopping. They were smashing purchase buttons like it was a championship drop. And the insiders? They're whispering about what's next. There's already leaked chatter about Nike fast-tracking his signature cleat into production to capitalize on this wave. Prototypes are being rushed. Design timelines are being compressed. This isn't standard protocol. This is emergency acceleration driven by demand they can't afford to ignore. Then there was that moment caught on audio that says everything about Sanders' mindset. I don't need that account anymore, man. I landed a solid deal for myself. That wasn't arrogance. That was confidence backed by results. Another voice followed up saying, wow, that's exactly how it should be. And they were right. This is what modern NFL influence looks like. Someone even reflected on the old school mentality, saying, remember how it used to be back in the day when Dad said, look, you've only got 2,000. That era is gone. This is scale. This is reach. Sanders himself summed it up perfectly with excitement in his voice. Absolutely. I'm super excited. That's exactly how I roll with people. That line hits because it's authentic. No forced branding. No corporate polish. Just confidence and connection. Make no mistake, this is bigger than clothing.
Imagine it's Shedeur, man. Holla at your boy, man. I need a pair, dog. I need me a pair, bro. But imagine how Shedeur is about to break the damn internet being an NFL player. And really name an NFL player since Coach Prime, besides Michael Vick don't count, that have sold their own signature sneaker and have been successful. Coach Prime is arguably the Michael Jordan of football players.
This is a cultural takeover happening in real time. Shedeur Sanders didn't just outsell rookies. He didn't just beat expectations. He outsold the league. That's the kind of moment that forces executives to rethink strategy and forces fans to pay attention. This wasn't luck. This wasn't hype alone. This was demand meeting belief at the exact same moment. And the rest of the NFL? They're watching closely now. Inside the market, things were spiraling fast. Reports coming out of Nike headquarters describe an atmosphere that was nothing short of chaos. This wasn't celebration mode. This wasn't champagne popping. According to multiple insiders, an emergency executive meeting was called, and the mood inside that room was pure disbelief. One comment that leaked summed it up perfectly. This demand is off the charts in ways we've never seen before. And that's where the temperature really started rising. The fallout escalated so quickly that it reportedly reached the very top. Sources say Phil Knight, Nike's founder, personally picked up the phone demanding explanations. That alone tells you everything. When the man who built the empire is calling for answers, it means something historic just happened. The issue wasn't marketing. It wasn't hype. It was supply failure caused by demand they never imagined. This wasn't about moving too much product by accident. This was about witnessing a moment the system wasn't built to handle. Warehouses emptied, servers crashed, forecast models collapsed in real time. Nike had just watched something monumental unfold, and there was no pause button. Even the financial side wasn't immune. Nike's CFO, Matthew Friend, was reportedly glued to live sales dashboards, watching numbers climb at a pace that made no sense compared to traditional projections. The algorithms didn't glitch. They simply weren't designed to predict a cultural wave like this. The models assumed football fans. What showed up was something much bigger. And here's the twist that changed everything. Shedeur Sanders isn't selling to the typical NFL audience. He cracked a formula no one else in the league has figured out yet. The data made it crystal clear. Gen Z buyers, a group that usually skips traditional team jerseys entirely, flooded the site in massive numbers. That alone raised eyebrows. But the real shocker? Women accounted for nearly half of all purchases. That completely shattered every demographic expectation Nike had in place. Their internal gender-based consumer models were flipped upside down in a matter of hours. This wasn't niche appeal. This was universal pull. Then came the international surge.
Do you like the DT96s or the DT93s better?
I like the 96s because it's more of the flames on the side, and I like that. It's more like chill, but still like stylish like that. So I like those the most, because I feel like they're the most, personally, I think they're the most recognizable at this day and age to youth, to everybody.
Buyers from Europe and Asia hit the site like it was a limited edition sneaker drop. The traffic patterns mirrored global hype releases, usually reserved for collaborations with artists like Travis Scott, not football merchandise. Time zones didn't matter. Borders didn't matter. The name Shedeur Sanders was moving product worldwide. That's when executives started connecting the dots. This wasn't about team loyalty or game day tradition. Sanders had turned his name, charisma, and genuine style into a global brand. To these buyers, he wasn't just an athlete on a roster. He was a symbol of confidence, identity, and culture. At the center of this explosion was the logo itself. The SS crown wasn't just clean design, it was a statement. It hit differently. Buyers didn't see fabric and stitching. They saw meaning. They saw ambition. They saw something they wanted to be associated with. Inside Nike, the design process suddenly made sense. Insiders revealed the design squad went through more than 15 different logo iterations before Sanders gave final approval. Every version was dissected. They needed something that respected the legacy of primetime without living in its shadow. That balance wasn't optional. It was mandatory. The final version delivered. Interlocking S elements paired with subtle crown imagery created an icon that was instantly recognizable. It didn't scream football, it whispered confidence. It wasn't loud, it was powerful. And once it hit the public, it spread like wildfire. What Nike learned in that moment was bigger than sales. Shedeur Sanders didn't just beat projections. He broke the framework used to measure athlete branding. This wasn't a fluke. This was proof that the game has changed and the audience has changed with it. In just a matter of days, this thing exploded way beyond t-shirts. What started as a simple merch drop turned into a full-blown cultural takeover. The SS logo was everywhere. TikTok timelines flooded with clips, Instagram feeds packed with fits, and even music videos casually featuring the gear like it was already legendary. This momentum wasn't forced. It wasn't paid hype. It moved naturally because it represented ambition, confidence, and belief. Fans weren't just buying cotton and ink. They were buying into a mindset. Wearing Shedeur Sanders gear became a statement. It said something without needing words. That's when Nike realized this wasn't normal consumer behavior. This was identity-based buying, and that changes everything. As Nike scrambled to restock shelves and stabilize systems, their competitors weren't calm at all. Behind closed doors, things were unraveling fast. Once the sales data started circulating across the industry, panic followed. Adidas reportedly pulled together an emergency strategy session in less than 24 hours. No waiting, no delay. The reality hit them hard. The message was brutal and clear. Nike didn't just spot the next wave. They caught it early and rode it. And everyone else? They were late. Under Armour and other major players immediately ramped up scouting efforts, looking for the next athlete with real cultural gravity. Not stats first, not highlight first, influence first. That's the shift. The old model is officially cooked. Waiting 3 years for a rookie to prove himself on the field before believing in his brand no longer works. Shedeur Sanders blew that outdated playbook into pieces. He didn't need seasons. He didn't need awards. He needed presence. And he delivered it instantly. Brands aren't just chasing performance anymore. They're hunting cultural sway. They want athletes who can move people, not just chains on third down. This wasn't just a win for Nike. This was a warning shot to the entire industry. Executives started asking uncomfortable questions. If one rookie can trigger this kind of global response, what happens if Nike has just found the next generational icon, not the next good player, the next movement? The comparisons started quietly but spread fast. People inside the business were saying it out loud. This feels different. Then came the contract shock. Behind the scenes, whispers turned into reports. Shedeur Sanders may have already outgrown his deal in less than a week. The original agreement simply wasn't structured for revenue at this scale. That's not hype. That's math. Urgent renegotiations reportedly began before week 1 even wrapped up. That alone is unheard of. His camp, known as the Shadow Squad, wasted no time pressing for structural changes. This wasn't about greed. This was about value catching up to reality. The bonus triggers in his contract, obliterated within the first afternoon. Thresholds designed to take months vanished in hours. The system wasn't prepared for this pace, and neither were the accountants. What makes this even wilder is Nike's response. No pushback, no resistance, no hesitation. They understand leverage. And right now, Shedeur Sanders holds all of it. This isn't a traditional athlete-brand relationship. This is a partnership driven by cultural dominance. Touchdowns alone don't move the needle like they used to. Wins matter, but influence pays. Brands are investing in cultural supremacy, not just box scores. Sanders represents that shift perfectly. But here's the reality check. All this buzz, all this momentum, all this money comes with one condition. You still have to deliver on the field. The spotlight doesn't dim gently. If the play slips, the excitement can fade just as fast. That's the pressure now. Shedeur Sanders isn't just playing football anymore. He's carrying expectations that stretch far beyond the game. This is where Shedeur Sanders truly separates himself from the noise. Plenty of athletes chase attention, but very few can sustain it. What makes this brand different is simple. It actually delivers. Camp reports aren't fluff or spin. They're showing high completion percentages, quick processing, and sharp decision-making. That matters. Fans can feel when something is real, and they absolutely know the difference between manufactured corporate hype and authentic confidence that comes from preparation and belief. You can't keep jersey sales alive on vibes alone. Sundays tell the truth, and Sanders understands that better than anyone. His commercial momentum isn't floating in midair. It's anchored to real talent. That's why people are locked in. That's why they're buying, sharing, and repping the logo with pride. This isn't casual support. Fans aren't just spending money. They're investing emotionally. When someone buys that gear, they're not just grabbing a shirt off a website. They're putting their chips down on a future. They're saying, I believe this guy is next. That kind of trust can't be forced or marketed into existence. It has to be earned, and Sanders is earning it every step of the way. So what does this mean moving forward? The implications are massive. Shedeur Sanders has officially rewritten the blueprint. He proved you don't have to sit quietly, wait your turn, or ask for permission to build something meaningful. You can step into the spotlight, establish your identity, cultivate culture, and let the corporations chase you instead of the other way around. Nike's supply chain might have stumbled trying to keep up, but that's not fear, that's validation. They're willing to absorb the cost because they understand the upside. This isn't a short-term trend. This is long-term equity being built in real time. When companies adjust entire systems for one athlete, that tells you everything. Now the conversation shifts. The question isn't whether Shedeur Sanders is marketable anymore. That debate is over. The real question is how bright this star can shine. How far can this empire stretch? How big can this moment become if the on-field performance matches the off-field momentum? Because if Sanders shows out this season, if the poise, accuracy, and leadership translate when the lights are on, this won't be remembered as a cool rookie run. This will be marked as the beginning of a completely new era in sports marketing. A moment where culture finally outweighed tradition. This isn't about just football anymore. This is about influence, connection, and timing. Sanders is hitting all three at once, and that combination is rare. The league is watching. Brands are adjusting. And fans are locked in deeper than ever. What started as a merch drop turned into a movement. What looked like hype turned into proof. and what many doubted turned into undeniable leverage. Shedeur Sanders didn't just make noise, he changed the conversation. And if the performance holds, if the talent shines when it matters most, then this won't just be a chapter in his story. This will be the opening page of something much bigger. This isn't the peak, this is the launch.